Hello, YouTube. We did a Superman-esque scream hashtag release the Snyder Cut. They listened. It's finally here. This is Geekified, and we could do this all day. That's right, guys. Welcome. It is Thursday. It's finally been released. We are going to talk about and review the most probably anticipated movie probably for a while. We're talking 3 and a bit years since the 2017 version got released, and that is the Snyder cut version of the Justice League. And what we've done today is we've sort of accumulated, now I don't want to use the word assembled because that's with Marvel, we've united the Geekified's version of the Holy Trinity, and we have Nathan.
I'm Wonder Woman.
He's called it first. We've got Chris.
I'm Squirrel Girl. Oh, just the Trinity? Come on, that's not fair.
And we've got myself, Tony, and I'll be sort of hosting and sort of guiding us through this review. Now, I don't know what the guys have thought about this. It would be very, very interesting. But let's go back before we get into actually the Snyder Cut. Let's go back to 2017, sort of like a flash rewind, little pun there. What did you guys actually, in a short sort of form, Nathan, what did you think of the 2017 version, the Joss Whedon version, as everyone's calling it?
It was all right. It was the usual thing with most DC things, were really nice, cool action, quite a cool idea, and then a bit of shit dialogue and some fairly crap acting. I thought the story was pretty solid. I thought they rushed it. It was quite rushed. Felt the story. Suddenly there's these mother boxes and they're doing all this stuff, and then by the end of the film they're all gone again. Whereas obviously Marvel had a 21 movie arc, 22 movie arc, whatever it was, for the Gauntlet, and I just sort of thought that DC thought we better catch up because they're doing this, and it just felt a bit reactionary. But yeah, it was okay. It wasn't fantastic. It was better than some superhero movies I've seen, but not as good as others.
And Chris?
Keep it really short. It was meh. It's just the best way to describe 2017's Justice League. Meh. It was there. It was okay. It was watchable. It was messy. It didn't come across amazing. I think we had been slammed with so much just ridiculously good Marvel content that to finally get the Justice League together, it was just meh.
Mm-hmm. Now, can we all agree? Were we all kind of calling out for the Snyder Cut?
I was 100%.
Yeah, I was. Nathan, were you not bothered? Were you? I don't care.
I'm not. I don't like all this sort of this thing that's happening with lots of things now. This reactionary thing, though. I didn't like that movie, so therefore we must get an alternative version of it released. And if not, and then the whole let's remake all of the last season of Game of Thrones. I didn't like it, and let's get the Ira Cut and let's get the Jimmy Bob Thornton second cousins version of it and stuff like that. I'm not.
That's a version I want to see. Well, that kind of brings me on to this, because obviously a lot of people were now watching this new version and going into this version. A lot of people were looking out for certain things that they wanted to see that they didn't see in the first version. Now, as you can see, I'm a massive Marvel fan, but, I love Superman. I loved Man of Steel. I'm a massive Batman fan as well. And one of the biggest disappointments of the last few years that I was upset about Warner Brothers and maybe Batman versus Superman, and the Joss Whedon sort of version was, it kind of put the stopper on us getting, i.e. a second Superman film perhaps, getting to see a solo Ben Affleck film. That would have been amazing because I love his version. So today, when I started watching, I secretly hoped that hopefully this 4-hour version now, twice the length, was hopefully going to reboot the hope that we may get, a Ben Affleck sort of reunite the flame. Were you looking for anything, Chris, in this new version of a similar thing?
I think do you know what? I've been following this heavily because I was very, very much behind the Zack Snyder getting the cut. He absolutely deserved it. I completely disagree with Nathan. I've got to say, sorry, buddy. But it's not about lots of rehashes. This is the main one. This is the only film where it's actually been. This was the establishment of let's get a cut, and there was a very, very, very good reason for that. That was because the studios had came in, changed so much of it. There's so many really good videos on YouTube, but one that I sent to all the team as well, to watch, and it explains a lot about what happened. It explains how very little his movie actually made it to the final part. So where I do disagree with Nathan is the fact that I do believe this is the original one that should have got a cut. Yeah, everyone's jumped on the bandwagon now saying that there is a mess, but it's mainly on Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers are the ones who did make this mess. They're the ones that came in and.
Do you think it's Warner? I think it's. Josh Whedon made an absolute arse of Age of Ultron as well, and he's made an arse of this. And maybe he's just a bad director who's not good at doing these films.
I agree on that part as well, Nathan. I don't think Josh Whedon is. I think he struck it lucky with the Avengers. I think also there's a lot of fans who don't realise how. If people have went back and watched Avengers again. It was an amazing film because we got something we'd never had before. So it's so empirically high on everybody's ideas of what they're... If you go back and watch it, it's okay. It's a very good film. It's a great superhero movie because it was the first one that we ever had. So now we've got to Justice League. People are like, oh, what the thing that's in their heads is nowhere near is going to be as good. And that's why I think you get a lot of this fanboy butthurt. Who will barely watch the film and barely get into it before they complain about it. You know what I mean? It's
the same thing happened with Star Wars, doesn't it?
It's exactly the same that happened with Star Wars.
If you go back and watch New Hope now, you still love it because of the nostalgia behind it. But if you showed somebody who didn't see that in I'm an old bastard, but early 80s, then they would think, "What the fuck are you showing me here?" This film about a guy with a stupid sword.
To answer your question, Tony, I don't particularly think I was looking for anything. I wasn't looking for a continuation of this. I think everybody has kind of been damaged from it. I think Ben Affleck, I don't think is going to come back. I don't think he's really going to be interested. I think he's happy to do the little bit parts that's possibly going to go on with the multiverse and Flash movie and stuff, but that's it.
There's not talk about him possibly doing an HBO TV show?
Yeah, I think that was one of the ones originally that came up. But what I think they're going with now, pardon the fact I can't keep up with half of the stuff that's coming
Gotham
out.
PD,
I think it's Gotham PD.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's not really going to keep him in it.
Yeah. So let's forget about 2017. Let's imagine it didn't happen.
That's easy.
And today, the Justice League film has been released. It is not the Snyder cut. It is a film. So, and I think at Geekified, we should review the film as it is today, and that's what we're going to do now.
Can I just quickly say one thing, though?
Of course.
I do think before we get onto this film, that other film never happened. I don't think if that other film, if what's happened over the last couple of years and everything else, I don't think that a major studio would have released a 4-hour film. Mm-hmm. I don't think it would happen.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I think it's different.
That's because that was kind of the main sort of first point. Obviously, the main difference, one of the biggest points is, and you said it, Nathan, is the length of it. Obviously there was talk that originally it might have been a 2-parter, and that it was always going to be 4 hours, roundabout, and it was going to be a 2-parter, and it kind of is, is big better, making it longer. Did we see more stuff? Did it need to be 4 hours? To me, I thought it could have been maybe 3 hours. I think it wasn't needed to be that length. What do you think, Chris?
I think it needed to be that length, but it should have been in 2 parts. There was nothing in that film that I felt today that could have really been taken out without establishing everything it did for me. I think it really did. 100%, it was too long. It should have been split, definitely somewhere down the middle, and even add some of the ideas that he maybe had for part of an arc of something else, another part of a story, even make more content, more good content, but don't fluff it up. Just make 2 2-hour films. I think he should have just split it.
Yeah. because I thought there was like lots of scenes that didn't really add to the actual story. Like for example, and it was same as 2017 was like the Wonder Woman bank scene. It was like there was a lot of elements in this where it was like, oh, we need to show them individually, solely how good they're at fighting and who they are. But we already know Wonder Woman. We've seen her. We've seen her in Wonder Woman, the first one.
See, but for this is an individual film, though, and I think that to have those individual stories that we all had the hero story for nearly every single one of them. If you don't watch comic book films and you just watch Justice League, you've not seen Wonder Woman in action. So you needed to have a Wonder Woman scene.
Wonder Woman film came out after this as well. Justice League was out before it. I think if you look at I checked this today. That's why the only reason I know that. I think if you look at, Marvel, when they got up to the first Avengers film, I think there was 4 or 5 films before that.
Yeah, it was 4 or 5.
Yeah. Whereas this had 2. It had Man of Steel and Dawn of Justice, which are basically 2 Superman films. More or less, I think the main crux of the story is Superman, both of those films.
Yeah.
They've had 2 Superman films, and then suddenly you've got Justice League, and you've got to have I know that Wonder Woman is in Dawn of Justice a little bit. There's cameos from Aquaman and Flash and Cyborg as well. But it's like like I said earlier, they're trying to speed up the process to catch up with Marvel. So rather than thinking, you know what, forget Marvel, we're going to do a 20-film arc. I'm sure Marvel didn't plan a 20 films when they first started, but there's going to be an arc of 5-6 films to get up to Justice League, and then you could have had, because basically the first Wonder Woman and Aquaman were both origin stories, more or less. So we should have seen them before we saw Justice League. Yeah. There should have been definitely one more Batman film, definitely, and there should definitely have been one more Superman film, I think, as well, before we got to it.
I fully agree.
I fully agree with that. And again, we've mentioned it on many conversations, and it is a case of Warner Brothers or /DC playing catch up, but then going too fast. And they should have maybe built that up first. But you can say it is what it is. Now,
why do they need to do that though? If you think about superheroes, the 3 biggest superheroes, I think, not for you guys because you're super geeks, but like the layperson, are Superman, Batman, Spider-Man are the 3 biggest ones, right? That everybody knows about.
Actually, yeah.
So you've got Superman, Batman in the same universe. So they're both going to be, if you get it right, $2 billion films, yeah? Easily. You saw that with the Dark Knight trilogy. You saw that with everything else. So why do you need to build them up? Just release the films and make a fuck ton of money and then make a better film further down the line.
I think it just didn't. But even with Justice League, the film was a mess anyway. But it makes a better story when you know characters and you can have origin stories. It's for me to have all this build up to bring it all together just makes a better film. If you jump straight into Justice League, it's just like too much. It's like the most famous one of overcrowding when they were going to try and shoehorn Sinister Six was Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man 3 with Andrew Garfield. Yeah. No, Tobey Maguire, sorry. I always get them messed up. But then you put in too many villains and it just felt like a mess. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing, is like if you don't have enough of something, enough of a story, enough of a build-up, you just had like a lot of shit villains in that film, and it just felt like they were trying to force Sinister Six on you.
Yeah, it kind of felt, and I felt again with the same 2017, and it seems as if they thought, right, okay, we can't do what Marvel did by having all these origin stories, but we'll use the Justice League to launch, all these characters, and then they can go away. But then it was
too complex. It was too complex a story for that. They had far too many. I think in this most recent one, they do a far better job with Cyborg than they did in the original one, definitely.
Oh, definitely.
Although Ray Fisher's an atrocious actor, I think. Like really bad. Like really, really bad. I think I could probably have done better, to be honest. But I think that they did a better job with that story, and they did a slightly better job with the Flash story as well in it. I don't know. They just tried to. There's too many origins in one place.
Yeah, but does this also come down to like if Josh, could there be an argument if they turn around to Josh Whedon and go, look, we're going to allow you to do 4 hours as well? Would have he had the time to flesh out, you know, the Cyborg story, the Flash story as well, because he's got more time to put all those lovely things that we did see. And
because Josh Whedon's 2.5 hour Justice League was more boring than Zack Snyder's 4 hour one. So there was more filler in his 2.5 hours than Zack Snyder's 4 hour one. So I wouldn't say that, no.
Yeah, I think Josh Whedon is, I don't want to go too political. I think given all the stuff that's coming out about him, of how he was on set with Ray Fisher, etc., and his attitude and what he did, there was like the fact that he tried to shoehorn in a scene. Well, he did get it in the original one of The Flash, basically just sitting on top of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, when he just lays on top of her and makes a kind of crappy sex joke. You know what I mean? It's like that's the kind of stuff that guy was trying to shoehorn into a film. He wasn't about content. He wasn't about story or development. He was about sex jokes and just getting them in. And I think that is obviously evident now with a lot of it's coming out about him. So I don't think that if Josh Whedon got a chance to do a 4 hour film, he could do what Zack Snyder has done just now.
And what did we feel about, obviously, the ratio aspect was obviously different. The 4.3...
4.3.
Obviously meant for, you know, the cinema. You know, we were meant to see this. Did it affect your viewing at all? To me personally, it didn't.
The first 10 minutes, I actually texted Chris and said, "Is the whole thing like this?" So I thought it might have been a thing for the start, and then they'll change it. But after, after the first 10 minutes, I didn't notice it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, after the first 10 minutes, get used to it. But I think at the end of the day, I get that it's designed for IMAX, but
was it necessary?
No, it really wasn't necessary. I think he's a lover of that aspect ratio. He said that in interviews before. He says you can get more from the shot, you can pick up and focus a lot better on that ratio. And I think it was more of a kind of passion piece for him rather than anything else. And I think it's unfair when it's you're a fan of something specifically. It doesn't mean that the millions of viewers that you're going to watch your film are. So I think it was a bit out of touch.
I think like you said, I think the key thing you said there, Chris, was it's a passion piece. You even see at the end, he dedicated it to his daughter that died, and that's why he left the film originally. So I think he's sort of gone, they gave him an extra 100 million, wasn't it, whatever it was?
75.
Well, yeah, $75 million to do it, and he's just thought, I'm just going to make this exactly how I like it, because at the moment it's going to get released, and box office isn't as important as it would be normally, and he can basically make the film that he wanted to make. So, which I would say from watching it, he probably has done.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But at the end of the day, you're making it to be on your fans' screens, not what you want to view. Like, I'm happy with him getting to make the content that he wanted to make. That's absolutely fantastic. But at the end of the day, it's on my telly. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to be able to see and have a good shot. It was like, if you want to have a 4:3 aspect ratio, knock yourself out, do a version of it when you're done. But start off with your widescreen, start off with what's on the TV, and then offer a director's cut afterwards when you're done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's actually really go into sort of the main differences that we actually seen in this cut version. Obviously, one of the main things was the opening of the film, and I thought it was probably one of the most cleverest things, you know, ever that I've seen. Not only visually, we're obviously talking about, we see the death of Superman in very Snyder-esque slow motion, but we see the echo of his last breath, his last scream, his call out, but it's I thought it was a beautiful technique of showing the audience, look, this is the world that we're in. The sound wave is going to take us all around. We're going to see who's in the story, kind of remind us of the past films as well, to go, look, this is where we're at. And I thought it was a genius idea, actually.
Yeah. You've just nailed exactly that. Like, I mean, that was, for me, we discussed it. I messaged Nathan earlier on. They said that it's possibly one of the best superhero openings I've seen for a long time.
Any film. I straight away, I was just like, oh my God, what is this going to be for 4 hours? Because that was just, it was beautiful. The sound, the music choices and the sound choices were phenomenal. I love Zack Snyder's attention to color. In all the stuff he does. It really emphasizes things so subtly and things just by colors and things like that. It's just I thought the first, up to when the title sequence was about 10 minutes, I think. was just, and I love how it's it's almost like an old school superhero, like Batman show where they're showing you what happened in the last episode.
Yeah. Yeah, because obviously one of the main problems or difficulties is how do you weave all these characters together, not only in the actual film and story, but how do you go, look, this is the world, these are all the characters. Some of them you're going to see for the first time if this was just being released. And I thought that was a beautiful little weaving moment. And it kind of made me step forward and go, okay, this is going to be different from the first version.
And also, I mean, Zack Snyder, he plays into this sort of Superman being a sort of messianic, like sort of person, like a god almost. Mm-hmm. And the scene when he's jumping out and his chest splitting open was almost like a picture from the Sistine Chapel or something. It was very sort of Renaissance art, God reaching down or God reaching up to heaven or something. It was a beautiful shot. Beautiful.
Yeah, I actually was genuinely, when I watched it, I was thinking I want the poster of when Superman flies up in the black suit and he's catching the first ray of sun going over Earth. And that shot, I was like, can I screen grab that and then like print it and make a poster? Because that's stunning. Absolutely banging.
Yeah, like one of the, obviously throughout this video, we're going to, obviously, we can't escape by looking at the 2017 version. One of the main things that I didn't like, it was like suddenly there was like aliens and we didn't, this world was kind of launched onto us and we had to get with it or you're not going to be with the film. I think like even looking at Steppenwolf, the CGI was much more improved. His character was much more developed. And actually, I'll say, for the first time, in cinematic that I've watched films, I was looking at a CGI character thinking, actually, that's not a CGI character. It looked like an actual actor. Obviously, it would have been an actor with, the dots and stuff, but you really felt of what he was doing. You had a reason behind it of him. But before we just had him just appear stealing boxes.
And I loved the way the Darkseid thing, where he's Steppenwolf's this mad, all powerful character, and there's somebody even more powerful than him. I thought was really cool. I thought they did it really well. So I think in Marvel, it was always just like you always knew there was somebody a bit bigger. You always knew Thanos was hovering around somewhere. Yeah. And it was like, but this was like Steppenwolf is like a kick-ass. He's destroyed planets. He enslaved people, and there's somebody that he's scared of. It was awesome. Plus, Steppenwolf looked like a sunburnt Thanos, I thought.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, I've seen it. Like his fear.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, if he's who is this guy? Yeah.
There was so much more emotion in the character. I think it was just you actually felt for the character in a certain way as well. You felt like you felt scared of him. You felt like, he can. It was the fact that he was flicking Wonder Woman and Aquaman away like little flies as well. So it was like, you were like, shit, are they going to get out of this? Is this where they're going to go with this? Because he's winning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, I love to start, but I'll also add, I thought there was a little, we praised the CGI of Steppenwolf. They obviously went, this is something that we really need to look at and improve. And, Snyder's version of Steppenwolf of what he wanted. But I did feel, again, by maybe concentrating so much on that, there was elements in the first half that the CGI, it wasn't as bad as the 2017 Lipgate, but there was some areas like in Mascara, when they were on the horses, I was thinking, that CGI is a little bit dodgy.
Yeah, the thing is, the scene when they finally get to it and they're having the big battle and they got Zeus and everybody there was awesome. I messaged Chris and said I want a Zeus film. Is he a character in the comics? Because he looked awesome. He looked awesome in that bit. But the bit just before that with the horses and them in that place when they're knocking out the things, I was a bit, I'm not really sure about. I mean, I'm not a fan of Wonder Woman either of the films, and I don't know, the Amazonian thing. I think it's not very well conceived. Half of them have got accents, half of them don't. They live in this tiny island, so you think they'd all sound the same, and stuff like that. Just I don't like that much. But
you're just lucky that no Amazonians ever went to Birmingham came back. They'd all have Birmingham accents.
Brilliant. Be brilliant.
Yeah, that was one of the things. The one thing that just stuck with me. They said, the first mother box has been stolen. There's urgency, but they take a whole like 14 hours until it gets dark to light the torch to to warn everyone. It's like, oh wait, we'll go home, we'll have a shower, we'll get dressed, we'll make a nice little ceremony to light the torch. There's no urgency whatsoever. The world's at risk. It's little things like that kept bugging me, but I did love the start of it, the Superman scream, and that
was awesome. The sound wave going over the planet, I was just like, oh my god! That shows you how powerful that guy is. That his one of his screams affects half of the Earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was there any other standout moments, Nathan, that really
just anything with Superman in it, pretty much? I know, honestly, Henry. I don't think I've always said that the scene when he first comes back and he fights them all at the memorial thing, I always thought was the best scene in the original Joss Whedon one, and they just extended it, made it better. The bit when he nods at the Flash, like I can see you, even though you're going at the speed of light, you're just like I like the way with Snyder with the Superman things. He's done this thing where every film he gets more powerful, and you sort of think, well, this guy, he's kick-ass, and then you think, oh my god, he can do that as well. It's just, and the rate that at the end when he's just punching Steppenwolf about 97 times in the face. We talked before about the Batman trailer, when he's smashing the guy, I am vengeance. No, you're not fucking vengeance. Superman's vengeance. You see him, fuck's sakes, man.
Yeah, that's what I really liked. There was kind of like a dark side to him this time. Yeah. Obviously, we had the black, but then there was even a moment which, I don't know if it was something that I envisioned myself, that Wonder Woman and Aquaman was going, oh, wait a second, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
I find as soon when he gets those red eyes and the way he shot it, he was always looking slightly down and his face sort of blacked out. They could just see this sort of evil sort of like grimace on his mouth when he's doing it, and it's just like, Henry Cavill should be every part in the world now. He can be Bond, he can be Han Solo, he can be anybody.
Exactly.
Plus, if you ever go on YouTube and watch him building a gaming PC, and if you're a gamer, you'll appreciate him even more.
But she almost famously missed the call from Mr. Snyder that he got Superman because he was playing a game on the PC. There we
Legend.
go.
Legend. I think the only bit I didn't like with Superman was obviously they have that fight. He flies off with Lois.
Mm-hmm.
Lois takes him to the farm cottage. He walks in, puts a shirt on, walks into the field, and suddenly he remembers everything. And they never explained why that was. Is that the key with Lois? Is that
I think it's just. You could make it a 5-minute scene, but it'd be a waste. It's like they always say, people who have their memories come back when they're at home or when they're doing normal stuff or they're with people from it. It would be a shit 15, 20 minutes of Lois just going, Superman. Right, look, here's a book from when you were 12. Is this bringing anything back? No. Is this bringing anything back?
Look at our Rocky.
Oh, right, I remember now.
Look at our Rocky montage. I'm looking through books and watching films and stuff.
Old films.
Cutting corn and running around the racetrack and kicking field goals. Well, that's Superman 1, sorry.
Again.
Another thing, I loved the scene with the Flash going for the job interview.
Yeah, that was my favourite.
That was really cool.
From everything.
I really hope that girl is in the Flash film.
Yeah, it's Iris West.
Yeah.
Iris West, is that right? If I get that right?
I don't know. But
it's really Iris.
I really hope that she
I'm not sure about the West part.
That would be awesome.
But the bit when he was doing it, I was in awe of the cinematography of it. The glass when he pushed through, and obviously glasses of water, and then it shatters, and he gets out, and it was like a love scene. It was so romantic. And then he looks at the hot dog.
Yeah, I love seeing the hot dogs.
Yeah, I was like, is he taking that for himself? And then he go back in, he's got it for the dogs.
But did you not think it was a little bit of a copy of the Quicksilver scene from X-Men? A little bit.
Yeah, it is, but what else do you do?
But I did say to you, Chris, he does run funny. This funny.
He does have it, but I think in the other Flash shows, they all run stupid.
Does this cost time? Does this cost flashes of energy or something? The flicking
exactly. I don't know what it is. They all do it. It's like Barry Allen does it. He does got a wee flappy arm movement.
Well, he is a competitive ice dancer, so maybe
that was a good joke.
And plus, Ezra Miller, I found. He tried, you know, in the Andrew Garfield version of Spider-Man, he did that stupid, like stupid commentary all the time and making these stupid jokes all the time. I found Ezra Miller was like a shitter version of that in this, in some parts. And plus the fact when he's running around at just below the speed of light and some alien soldier gets a lucky shot and manages to knock him off path.
I know.
Well,
I think it was a bit.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, when I was playing Fortnite, I got that shot. I'd stop playing, that'd be me finished. Greatest shot in the history of the world.
Yeah, I think there was elements where, you know, they had to, you kind of had to suspend disbelief.
No, I understand that.
Yeah. And they did kind of mention it, you know, when they were digging the grave of Superman, you know, he did mention, you know, we could do this in a split second. You know, it doesn't need to take us another 4 or 5 hours to do all this. Yeah. But for a film, we need to have, you know, we need to come as a team, so we need to start having conversations together. But I thought there was far too many of them again in the film. Now, I don't know if that's again because it was 4 hours. And
that's just DC. That's DC does that though. Like I said, and he watched all of their films. There's always at least 4 or 5 scenes in them. There's really stilted dialogue where they feel the need to sit there. Like there's a bit in this where they're talking about the plan they're going to do at the end to take Steppenwolf's fortress, and they're standing there and they explain it as if you're watching an episode of the A-Team on TV.
Yeah,
right? You go and do that, and then you go and do that, and you go and do that, and everything is going to be great. Whoa. And you're like, I don't need to know that. Just go and fucking do it.
Yeah, you could have done it in a couple of seconds. Like,
yeah,
it's like that's to be honest, that's probably somewhere they could have trimmed. A wee bit of time
I think the start of the film, the first 45 minutes were phenomenal. I thought the bit in the middle when Superman came was great, and the last part 6, and the epilogue were phenomenal. But there was about an hour and a half where I was like, this is starting to feel a bit like it's probably they were using the what do you call it? The material from the original one. You know, they're on that aircraft and they're talking for about 40 minutes. And you're like, what the? That's when I went down a YouTube hole trying to a Wikipedia hole trying to find out stuff in that bit.
Yeah. There seemed to be other elements. You know, like they were like Batman's gauntlets. You know, was ever use them, or like it's just like and all that, and it took them forever to fix the ship, and it seemed not like an ongoing joke that they couldn't.
And then Cyborg just went,
changed the light. You know, the joke is, you know, how many, you know, Justice League characters does it take to change a light bulb? Well, none. I
think it was really interesting though that they made Batman like the weakest member almost. He was the leader, and he put them together. But he was obviously much weaker than all the rest of them, which I thought was a really interesting dynamic, because in every Batman film you see, Batman's this hulking, all-powerful guy who kicks the shit out of everybody and wins everything, whereas in this, he was like in the background the whole time. He was, and obviously he had the really cool scene with the Batmobile and all that sort of stuff, but it was just like, it was really interesting that he was, like, although he was, like I said, he was a leader, he was at the back of it, he was the general in the bunker.
Well, that's what I kind of liked about Affleck's take on it. He had a lot of humility in this one. I think he knew that he's not got what the other guys have got. He can't get out of the shit. He can't take a hit. Yeah. He needs to be a lot smarter. And at the end of the day, he is the smartest guy in all of them. You know what I mean? He is the genius.
To get a job for Indeed, he did a great job finding jobs for them all.
Yeah, well, you kind of mentioned sort of the ending. You know, again, I was disappointed with the 2017 version of the end fight and ending of the film. This one seemed to be one critique. You know, it kind of made more sense, this one, in terms of how they were going to do it and how it all happened. And again, much better when Superman turned up. Again, it was like, yay! But yeah, and again,
the big axe that's killing everybody.
Yeah,
and then there's fucking him up, and he's just standing there going, "What? Trying to do something there? What?"
Yeah. Just broke it to ice. But yeah, it just made a little bit more sense, you know, because I thought the ending was a little bit daft in the first version, but this made it a little bit much more sense. But again, it was teasing, you know, Darkseid even more. And I loved the end. It was, again, much more darker and brutal. You know, the way
Oh yeah,
his
definitely.
head getting chopped off, and
yeah, that bit I was like, because I realised that she was jumping, and I was like, "What is she doing?" And I was like,
yeah.
"Is she going to cut his head off?" I was literally like, "She's going to do it," and she did, and I was like, "That's brutal."
Yeah.
Imagine having a door open and someone chucking in the body of your uncle, and
Yeah, going, try again.
Kill. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I thought the bit with Martian Manhunter as well was pretty cool at the end.
Yeah, it's great to finally see it. It's always amazing to see an interpretation of a character we've not seen.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool to actually have him in it.
The worst name of any superhero ever, but apart from that, it's
yeah, and a lot of people would have been going, "Who is he?" Da da da. But then again, you know, I was thinking, you know, could we have had Green Lantern, you know, be that person who turns up, you know? They
mention that they do say at the start, there's no lanterns here.
Yeah.
And obviously you see the lanterns fighting with the guys at the start. That's thousands of years ago. Yeah. So I suppose it's like lanterns think that Earth is safe. Because the mother boxes are all, you know, hidden. When they come back to life, Superman hides it from everybody because he's so powerful. So I think that made sense.
Mm-hmm. And obviously the epilogue, you know, a lot of people will be severely confused of what was going on, what it meant. What did you guys think of it? I have to admit, I had to go into the internet and try to re-scramble what was going on.
I had to ask Chris, like, what's the deal with the because obviously the dreams are in Dawn of Justice as well. You know, they come all the way through these Superman, these Batman. I just said to him, I want to see the Batfleck film because it's going to obviously be about that. I mean, is it an alternate timeline? Is it a alternate universe? Is that going to come in? Maybe when what's it called? Flashpoint. It's called the
Flashpoint is coming. Yeah.
Maybe when that comes, maybe this is going to start this happening. And obviously, this idea that I thought was really cool. You know, Lois is the key because if Lois isn't there, Superman's just going to fuck everybody up.
Well, that's the thing. Like
he caused the apocalypse.
Yeah. He's turning it into apocalypse. That's what he's doing.
That's the thing. Yeah. Whatever you do, if anything happens to him, Superman gets angry and upset.
Yeah.
So.
I just thought it was genius.
And I thought that I loved Leto's take on the Joker this time. I thought it took a bit from Heath Ledger, a wee bit from Joaquin Phoenix even as well, in his version of it, a wee bit from the Mark Hamill one, a wee bit of everybody.
I feel that is what he was doing. I just don't think he really got the time to do it. I'm still not probably going to take a lot from Leto's performance in this because I still don't even think that was enough to get a big gauge point on it. But I was swayed even more towards it. I think
you were waiting for it, though, weren't you? You were waiting.
Oh yeah, I was getting to the freaking end, and I was like,
"Well, that's the thing." Yeah, I completely forgot about it. Yeah, and I was like, "Well, wait a second. We were promised."
Yeah, we know he was filming. We've seen stuff, so I was like,
and then I went, "Good, we've got 15 minutes."
Yeah, I googled. Right, I was like, "There can't be a freaking after credit scene."
I
googled it, and it said there was no after credit scene. I was like,
"Yeah,
oh, they can't do this to us. They can't troll us." And then obviously it happened.
Yeah, they might Bethany us.
Aye, I know.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's going to be the call now.
And then obviously we see Deathstroke as well, and we see the bald, really cool Lex Luthor as well, and it's just I know they've said there's not going to be another one, but oh my god, it's set up so well, isn't it?
It's set up perfectly.
Well, on that note, going forward, what do you think Warner Brothers should be doing now? You know, they've released this. What happens next? To me, I would love to see, you know, Ben Affleck get back in the suit and go against Joker and all these lot, you know.
I think if they come out and make it very clear that the Pattinson Batman is a different story from the Affleck Batman and make two different films in different, you know, arcs of story, you could easily put the Pattinson Batman in with the Joaquin Phoenix Joker and make that a thing if you wanted to, or you can just keep them separate, and then you could have, you know, the DCEU again, if you want to call it that or want to do that, and have these things coming in. Because, I mean, the Wonder Woman 80 shite doesn't fit in because that was obviously way before. None of these other ones. Aquaman was it's quite difficult to figure out when Aquaman was supposed to be. So it'd be interesting. I think you could easily have a Batfleck film, another really good Superman film. There could be there's obviously going to be Flashpoint anyway. They could have some sort of cyborg film, if Ray Fisher got some acting lessons, and then and then I talk about Justice League 2 is going to be Doom. What's it called? Doom Squad, whatever it's called.
So Chris, do you think
Legion of Doom? Sorry.
Chris, so on Nathan's point, and do you think this has relit the fire for potentially all that to happen?
No. I think Warner are dead with it. I think Warner are finished. I think there's too much acerbic reaction to everything with Zack Snyder now. I mean, like, people just hate him it's like a bandwagon of hate. Yeah. So I think he is just calling it Zack Snyder's Justice League is like a closure for them, saying, yes, that was Zack Snyder's Justice League, because we're going to have a different Justice League in the future. I says they've literally wrapped it and said we're finished with this. I says what they are probably going to do with Flashpoint is maybe that's a multiverse that's changing realities and multiverse, because Flash makes a mess of it. So I think they can touch on some of the things that was in it and bring a couple of the characters they want to bring into it and continue with them. But they're obviously holding off on that because I think obviously 1984 was an absolute bit of a freaking mess. It's not done anywhere near as much as they wanted it to. So I think that's going to leave a line separate. But I think having Flashpoint and having the availability to do this, I think they can do what they want with Flashpoint and recreate anything they want. I wish they would continue with it because it looks as if it's going to be amazing. And I really, really, all I want is Batfleck again. I do want Flash, and I want Deathstroke. I'm desperate to see that Batman go up against that Deathstroke.
I think like a Batman Mad Maxy type film, which is what was set up in that. Even the way they filmed that and the colours and the sandstorm was like I forget the director's name of Mad Max now. It's gone in my head.
Can't remember that.
But it looked like that sort of film, and I was just like, a film of that, because obviously the dream sequences, if you notice, they gradually get longer as it goes through. So does it get to a point where a whole film would be like one of those dream sequences, and it wouldn't be a dream, obviously, it would be real. But I just think the other thing I said to Chris earlier, I think I prefer a sassier Lois Lane. I think she was a bit maudlin in this, and even in the other films, she's not got that same. If you've watched the Superman films from the 80s with Christopher Reeve, I can't remember the actress's name who plays Lois Lane in that, but she's in your face all the time. She's very like this, and you don't really get that from Amy Adams, who's a fantastic actress. But I would have preferred a wee bit more in your face, and I definitely would like more J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, underused. There's a lot of underused things I think in this, and it's a shame. But and for me, like, I would love nothing more, and I would be absolutely behind it. But I think Warner Brothers are done with it. I think they're going to take Flashpoint, they're going to reset and continue.
Cool. So summing up, Nathan, your overall opinion of the 2021 Snyder Cut? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a bit too long. I would say that, but the start and the end and the Superman in his pajama bottoms kicking people's arses, give it a big thumbs up for me. I sat on my couch and watched it in one go for 4 hours, and it didn't feel like 4 hours. Yeah.
And Chris?
Yeah, same as Nathan. It did not feel like 4 hours, and when a film does that for you, it's incredible what has been made from that, and it's 100% in my top 10 superhero films right now. I'm going to have to really, really reassess them, because there's some in there that I can't think right now because it's been 4 hours on my day today. But
yeah, I would say better than Endgame, not as good as Infinity War.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's moved a lot of the Avengers from what Avengers should be and couldn't be, and what Justice League could be from this. But because it's now a standalone, it's messed up my top 10 so much. So I'm going to have to
I didn't agree with the R rating for it, though. There's one fuck and then a couple of the guy gets head get cut off, but it's not excessively gory or anything like that. And I could have been a PG-13 quite easily.
I think chopping a head off is pretty over the top for a kid.
I don't know. They've blown up some bloody planets before and killed everyone on it, and they were in U's and PGs. So
Well, guys, you've heard it here. You know, I have to sort of agree with the guys, you know, much better than the 2017 version. Hopefully, what we're kind of crying out, we're now going for a hashtag get Ben Affleck back as Batman. We want more Superman. We just want more of it, to be honest. Fantastic version. Definitely a thumbs up for me.
One more thing.
Oh.
Release the Ayer cut.
You've heard it here first. Hashtag where we are.
Coming for you next.
The new one is the hashtag continue the Snyderverse, isn't it?
Yeah, I think everyone wants it to continue, but the Ayer cut, I want the Ayer cut.
The Ayer cut.
Not just the James Gunn reboot, no.
Haircut.
Well,
I've got no haircut. What are you talking about?
I know. Well, only time will tell. So we've been geekified. We've had Nathan. We've had Chris. We've had myself, Tony. This is Geekified. And 4 hours and 2 minutes. Yeah, I think we could go again and do this all day.